We'll begin straight away by taking you across to Pune to the Tata Motors headquarters. This is of course where we are entering the design facility. Now, design studios typically aren't places that people like to let you into, but once in a while we do get lucky. Now, Tata Motors is enjoying a little bit of success with the Tiago. It is a new sort of a direction that the company is heading in, and a lot of that has to do with design. So take a look at what the company is thinking about when it comes to future products and the importance that design plays for its future products as well. The design department at Tata Motors was created way back in 1965 as part of body engineering when it made just trucks and buses. In 1994, Tata decided to form an independent design studio just as it was venturing into passenger vehicles. And now the company has 3 design studios, one each in Italy, the UK, and the biggest one here in Pune, with 190 designers working across all 3. The big new focus at Tata now is its new impact design language for its cars, and the first product to truly exemplify this has been the Tiago. Now, typically there's plenty of secrecy around design, but Tata has invited us in today to its Pune facility, just like it had also had us visit the design studio in Coventry exactly 2 years ago. The latest design study that will come to us soon is the crossover treatment Tiago that was shown at the Expo 2. Black plastic cladding, roof rails and a rear spoiler make it look fairly sporty, right? The car does look like an accessorized version of the Tiago, and so it is. The company is considering this as a variant or even to simply offer just as a separate custom body kit for Tiago owners to give it a bit of a boost. Would you like to see this variant being offered? Share your thoughts with us on facebook.com/CNB show or on Twitter @SitPartankar. Tata Design Chief Pratap Bose conducted us through his workspace, and we also got to play around with some clay.
To go from sheet of paper to sheet metal is a long journey. It takes anywhere between 3 to 3.5 years. But within that journey, there are some very critical steps and processes. Of course, first is to get the design to look attractive on paper. My design team is extremely talented and skilled, and you can see the level of skill and how they very quickly capture what that car needs to be. So in this case, it's a Tiago, but we've seen other cars from us. In each project, we go through this phase and we make hundreds of sketches. I mean, I'm not exaggerating here. There are close to 200 or 300 sketches that the team would create, and then we pick 3 or 4 from there to really take forward. I mean, don't forget, it's quite an expensive process, building cars or designing and engineering a car. So we need to ensure that the design A can be manufactured. That's important because we have to make the car, and B, it lasts for some time, because 40 months before you launch a car, you should have something which is already quite futuristic, that when you launch it, it lasts for another 4 or 5 years. So we are already talking about a 10-year window.
So take us through what happens when when there's a clay model in place, and when you're talking to the engineering team and the different teams which are which held
involved,
the entire car together.
So you're right, you're quite right. I mean, because we are selling a 3D object, we are not selling a drawing. Yeah. It's very important that the 3D object actually represents the design. We use this material we call industrial clay. Even though it looks like plasticine, it's not. It's a very, very highly engineered material. We keep that at about 60 degrees in what we call the oven, the clay oven. And at 60 degrees, it's extremely soft and pliable. And so we can then sort of apply it onto the car. Yeah? And once the clay actually cools to room temperature, it becomes quite hard. And it becomes workable. And then we have a series of tools we use to then sculpt the shape of the clay. So for example, if one of the design has a feature like that, we use this tape. This tape, you can see, bends in all directions.
Yeah.
I'll just Yeah, so on the bonnet, if you want a nice feature, we mark that on, and then using the tools, we can actually sculpt that shape. Of course, my colleagues who are the actual clay sculptors are a lot better than me in this process. But this is where the designers really can express their idea from 2D to 3D. And this is a really classic time-tested way of doing this. I mean, we talk about technology, and we talk about a lot of things, the computer and automation, etc. But there's this phase in the process where the designer is actually touching the material, is where the real beauty of the design comes in. So you can see very quickly, we are able to sculpt a shape, and then you'll obviously clean up the other side as well.
There was some appreciation for the Bolt and Zest as products that showed Tata was working towards a new direction on design and quality, but the bigger acclaim for Pratap's team has come with the Zika turned Tiago.
So we've now got a new function actually in Tata Motors design, which is called perceived quality or design quality. I think you went to that little studio as well. There they have, my team who works there, I think they have microscopes for their eyes, because they look at everything with such level of detail. So does the shade match? Because, for example, if here you have a fender which is in metal, you have a bumper which is in plastic. Yes. Both are supplied by different people. They are painted using different paints, but the color has to match.
It has to match, yes.
That's quality, right? That the color is seamless across the plastic to the metal. If there was a color difference, you would say, oh, that's really poor quality. And an ordinary customer will understand that, not even someone trained like us in design. So for the ordinary customer, those are the things that make a very, very big difference. And we've got specialists, therefore, in that area who ensure with the suppliers that when the bumper is painted and the body is painted in metal, when they come together, they're the same color.
And the same process is followed for the interiors of the car.
For the interiors, even more. I'll tell you why. Because interiors is something that you are actually sitting in. You're immersed in the interior.
So the touch feel,
and it's much closer to you.
Besides the Tiago, we've also seen the next generation Nano benefiting from some of these new systems, but it's the products in the pipeline that truly excite us. Tata is busy working on getting finishing touches onto the Hexa crossover and the Nexon subcompact SUV that will hit the market next. And don't forget the Tiago subcompact sedan or the concept Kite 5 that is also hugely anticipated. We wish them the very best and can't wait to see these new cars.